Okay. Finally, we're going to talk about Ascendis Health. We actually own this one in the Hot Stocks portfolio. This one is a health and care brands company, but it has operations in the plant industry. That's in plant fertilizers and that kind of thing, Maltons, and it's got another brand I'll think of in a minute. Animal health as well as human health. Although it's a new listing, it's an interesting company because there's a private equity type group called Coast to Coast behind it. And those guys run around finding acquisition targets for them, and then they use the listing. So it's one of those roll-ups where they're constantly buying earnings, and as a result, the group's getting bigger and bigger.
And it is quite a segregated sector because, you know, every couple of months we see an announcement that they've bought another company, and you realize that there are a lot of, and when you look at your tubes and the if you're taking multivitamins, there's lots of brands out there that you don't know. Dischem, you know, there's just rows and rows of those.
And these oaks have a lot of the stuff that's at Dischem.
It's actually incredible. I flicked through their brands this morning, and there's a lot of really well-known brands. And it's the nutraceuticals, it's the supplements, and it's very much based on sport and healthcare, and, you know, keeping on top of your game in terms of fitness and health and so on. So definitely in a good space. Right,
I can see here the plant brand I was trying to remember is Effecto. You would have seen that if you've been to the garden store. And then the ones you're referring to are things like SSN and
Evox.
Sportron, Solal, all the Solal stuff as well, which does all sorts of things for people. Okay, so Carsten Wellner runs the group. I didn't mention earlier, but it has risen to a market cap of 4.9 billion rand.
Nearly
That's a very impressive.
Adcock.
22.68 PE and a dividend yield after paying an initial dividend of around 0.6.
I must say, I like that structure of having, you know, your majority shareholders, the deal makers. You know, we've seen it with PSG and Cura and a few other EOH, where you have guys who sit there and they just look for deals, and then you have someone, a good operator like Carsten, running the actual business.
And they bought something called Farmalida in Spain, and then they bought a bunch of in registration drugs, I think from Novartis and so on, or Sandoz. So things are really moving.
Called Acacia, which does a lot of the bio plus flora stuff for your stomach, digestive.
Okay.
Some good brands there.
Put it all together, it looks quite attractive. Share price, there you go. So we bought in at about 18, and they've held up reasonably well, and not all that liquid, it must be said, because it's fairly tightly held. But it's done well since it came onto the market.
There certainly are risks. These guys are pretty gung-ho. I think they're doing deals left, right and centre, and they might overpay for one or two.
Yeah. Okay, good. So it's transformed itself, getting bigger and bigger. Gary Shane and the guys at Coast to Coast still doing a good job. So hot on this one?
No, I'm definitely hot.
Definitely hot. Nice to have a new player in the same space. Okay.